Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I am not very enthusiastic about our damn Jets right now. I'm getting so... today sucked. Had to go into work. Feeling a little bit under the weather because I sat in the rain, watched a 9-10 game, and our team choked it away. Really frustrated. Got a poll question in the chat. You guys can vote on, does Saleh get fired? Options are after a loss to the Vikings, after losses to the Vikings and Bills, after losses to the Vikings, Bills, Steelers, or not fired. Woody Johnson has never fired a coach in season. So there is that caveat to the conversation that we will be having. I want to talk to you guys. We're going to talk through the chat a little bit. Eventually I'll go over, we'll take some calls and see how you guys are feeling. We'll do this for a little bit here. For those of you guys just tuning in, this stream is sponsored, powered by BetUS. If you guys want to head over, get 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 using YouTube. 150. Let's see if do I have this up? I think I still have it up. Bam, there we go. Okay, so Davante Adams, next team. There's some odds over on BetUS if you want to place some money on it. The Jets are minus 200 for Davante Adams' next team. Chiefs, at the time of this clipping, was plus 400. I think they might be at plus 450 now. I could be wrong on that. I thought I saw that earlier today. Ravens at plus 450. Bills at plus 500. Where do you think Davante Adams could wind up? Do you even think he gets moved? Because that's part of the question, too. Do the Jets make a move? The Raiders even want to do it? What happens? Head over there. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel, BetUS. All right. Let's talk a little chat here. Go through. Actually, before that, let me just give you my concise thoughts. After a day of chewing this over in my head, kind of consuming some content, talking to Dom a little bit, feeling it out, still frustrated, really frustrated. I put a lot of blame on the coaching staff. I put a lot on Robert Saleh. This team doesn't seem ready to play when you have extra time off. Like, how do you look more prepared through 3 games in 11 days than you do against one team 10 days later? That doesn't compute to me. It doesn't pass the sniff test. I think that it's incredibly disheartening to look at our offense. I don't think the defense is a big issue right now. Dom mentioned it last show we just did, that maybe the Jets didn't try to get after the quarterback. Maybe they wanted to just contain Bo Nix more. Obviously, the All-22 tape will show us a little bit more about that, so we'll have to wait and see how that kind of all plays out. But you contain Bo Nix. He had, 60 yards on the day? He had one player over 5 yards receiving. One player, Courtland Sutton, over 5 yards receiving. That's bananas. Defense held their own. 10 points, you win that game every week. This is squarely on the offense and not being prepared. That kick by Zuerlein, it sucks. Honestly, when I saw him line up for a 50-yarder, I was like, I don't like the weather. I don't like this. I used to kick. I don't like this kick. I don't like this situation that we're in right now. He missed the kick. I was like, look, I don't even, it sucks. I blame him a little bit, but at the same time, it's not a kick that, has high percentage odds at that point. This game was lost the minute the Jets false started on 4th and 1 on the goal line. You had 4 opportunities to punch it in from a yard out, and you couldn't get it done. That was the difference in the game for me. Defense gave up a little bit of runs, late in the game and whatnot. They wound up scoring a touchdown that ultimately put them up 10 to nothing, or what was it? Maybe it was 7 to 9 of that, whatever. However it worked out. They scored a touchdown. Super frustrating, but I think the defense did enough to hold their own. I think Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall have been incredibly underwhelming. I'm not so sure Garrett Wilson is our best receiver. I'm not sure if he's our top 2 receiver right now. Obviously he's drawing the number 1 coverage against Surtain and Snead and Tre'Davious White, and all the corners that we've gone against have all been pretty good. Christian Gonzalez, the young player from New England, stud as well. But to date, right now, through 4 games, it's hard to argue that Lazard's not our best receiver right now. And Mike Williams looks like he's starting to come on. And both those guys look to have more chemistry than Garrett Wilson does right now. And it's incredibly frustrating because I know how talented Garrett Wilson is. I just want them to click. I want them to figure it out because I feel like once they do, this offense is going to be very challenging to stop. And then from Breece Hall's perspective, I took Brees 1-1 in a lot of leagues. I really like Brees. I'm high on Brees. I thought he would be offensive player of the year. I threw money on that. I was like, this guy is going to ball out this year. The offensive line is better. The quarterback play is better. The weapons are better. Brees Hall should be doing better. And he's not. He seems to go down immediately upon being touched. He could not cut yesterday. He could not get anything done. 0.4 yards per carry. Very disappointing from Brees Hall. Braylon Allen, on the season, looks to be our best runner right now. Braylon Allen should have had those touches on the goal line. He really should have. I understand going to Brees twice. Look, offense runs through Brees. Give the ball to Brees twice. I understand it. But guess what? You got 2 more opportunities from the one. I don't think you do the stupid rollout throw or whatever they tried to do with Rodgers. Like, he's 40 years old. Don't try to roll him out right now. Not on the 1-yard line. Don't do the Marshawn Lynch thing. Just run the damn ball. Braylon Allen, he gets hit like 2-3 yards back in the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, and he's getting like a yard or 2 in front of the line of scrimmage. Like, this dude's a bully. He's had some of my favorite runs that have only gone for like 3 yards. I'll have to start pulling them out because there's, I would say, at least 2 off the top of my head that I was like, wow, that was impressive because he should not have been tackled there. He looks like a baby Derrick Henry to me. He really looks good. And he should be getting the reps, at least in the early goal down situations. And it's frustrating because all of us would have said at the beginning part of the season, look, Brees is the guy. Brees is the guy. Mumtaz, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, there was a point in that game where Brees Hall had 0 yards on 8 carries. Why is the offense so hard for us? I thought with competent offensive line, Brees would be unstoppable. Also, Garrett Wilson not getting open. Dude, we are thinking on the same wavelength here. Brees Hall, there is no excuse. There is no excuse. And maybe if you want to say the running game wasn't working, then it's on Hackett, then it's on Rodgers to get Brees the ball in space. That has to happen. You have to be able to let Brees make a play. But for whatever reason, between the tackles, it's just not working for Brees right now. I'm not sure why. Obviously, footing was an issue yesterday. Players were slipping. Balls were squirting out all over the place. Like, not a great overall indicator of year-long season potential or success. Like, you figure the first 2 games were, okay, we're just kind of getting right. It's the preseason for us. We didn't have any preseason with the starters. The 2 first games were working out the bugs. I'm fine on that. We looked like gangbusters coming out against New England. Like, we took care of business the way we should have. A good team yesterday finds a way to win. A good team does not lose by 1 point at home after having a 1st and goal on the 1-yard line. Good teams find a way to win, and we didn't do it. The defense stepped up, but the offense is severely lacking. And I don't know what it is about Garrett right now. Garrett and Brees have been the 2 most disappointing players to me right now. Right now. And that's absolutely because I had sky-high expectations for both of them. I would say Brees is maybe a little more disappointing to me right now, just because Garrett, I figured there would be some level of like, hey, this offense has to run through Brees. Garrett's not going to get quite as many looks to start. But how many times has Rodgers thrown the ball and Garrett's just not looking or like expecting something different? It's really, really frustrating to see how this team's going right now. And I do think that you got to hold coaching accountable. The comments that Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers both made at the end of yesterday's game, maybe we got to look at the cadence. And Rodgers saying, hey, look, we've done this cadence thing through training camp. We did this cadence thing through the week of practice. Maybe it's time to hold someone accountable. Good on Rodgers. Good on Rodgers. You have the cachet to be able to say that. And if Robert Saleh's got a problem with that, I'm sorry, you're not a head coach. Take ownership of this team. You've had excuses because of Zach Wilson. Because of the injury last year, you were given passes. I like Robert Saleh. I'm a fan of Robert Saleh, the person. He seems like a good dude. He's got a good temperament. But for whatever reason, he just doesn't seem to be able to motivate, at the very least, the offense. Defense, they're figuring it out. Whether it's Ulbrich, whether it's Saleh, whether it's the positional coaches, whatever it is, the defense figures it out. We get talent out of like every niche and cranny, every nook and cranny that you find players in. Very impressive. But man, is it underwhelming to have extra days rest and just come out flat. Pisses me off. All right, Eric's got a few comments in here I want to take a time to digest here. Let's see. He says, Ryan, You know what scares me? If Joe Douglas and Saleh are fired at the end of the year, only to include JD for hypothetical, plus he hired Saleh, we're left with our clueless owner hiring the next regime. So I am in favor of Joe Douglas getting an extension. I do think this team is incredibly talented, and I do think Douglas has done a really good job at finding talent. Not every draft pick hits. Like, you're going to have a Mekhi Becton, you're going to have an Elijah Moore, you're going to have a Zach Wilson. Like, it sucks because those are high picks, and you don't want to miss on high picks. But Will McDonald's looking pretty good. AVT, I would say we feel pretty confident. Tittman, we're feeling pretty confident. Olu, outside of yesterday, I obviously have to look at the All-22, but I think he's going to be pretty good. Like, there are a lot of good players on this team. Braylon Allen, stud. Breece Hall, stud. Garrett Wilson, stud. Like I think Douglas has done a very good job and is deserving of another opportunity with another coach. I would extend Joe Douglas at the end of this season, provided things don't like totally get, nuclear or something crazy ends up happening. But yeah, that is a concern. If you fire both, then you got Woody Johnson making a critical decision that I don't feel super confident in him making, given all the other decisions he's made throughout my entire life as a Jet fan. Plus, who knows how Rodgers acts if Hackett is fired. I don't think Hackett gets fired. That's sort of where my mindset is. But I think Hackett and Ulbrich stay. I could see Robert Saleh getting fired or not being retained at the end of the year. I feel like he'd get fired before he was not retained. I don't know if Saleh comes back if everyone's gone. It would just be like a, hey, Rodgers' body's hurting him. Maybe it is time to hang it up type of a thing. And then he says, of course, I'm panicking. Yeah, dude, I'm panicking too. It sucks. It really sucks. Like, I'm super frustrated with where this team is right now because, like, I know it's only 2-2, but, like, Minnesota looks like gangbusters. Buffalo, short of, like, yesterday's loss, like, we were handed a gift by Baltimore yesterday. If Baltimore wound up losing that game and we were down 2 games to Buffalo heading into the Minnesota game, like, we have an opportunity to beat Minnesota, and then the following week, that game's for the division. Because if you beat Minnesota and you beat Buffalo, now you have a better division record than Buffalo, and you are sitting at the 1 seed in the AFC East. So it's not totally worthless at this point, or not hopeless or whatever. But I think it's important to hit the panic button right now. I don't think you're wrong. Harlan says, can't line up offsides. So Will McDonald, we were in 300 sections all the way up on like the 40-yard line. And I'm looking at Will McDonald. I know exactly which play you're talking about because I turned to my buddy and I was like, Will McDonald's lined up offsides. We're going to get a penalty. This is about to happen. And as soon as the fucking ball is snapped, whoop, yellow flag right in the air. I'm like, why? This is like step 1 is line up on sides. I don't care who you are. It could be the best player in the league. It could be the worst player in the league. Fucking line up on your side of the ball. It's this side, that side. Stupid. Don't do stupid. Don't do stupid. Ugh. Can you tell I'm fired up? I'm a little frustrated right now. Craig Smith. Penalties are absolutely disgusting and killing me each week. Garrett, if he is a true number 1, he needs to work out how to get open. 100%. Garrett Wilson is getting covered by some really good players. But guess what? There's going to be a lot of really good players throughout this season. And if he's going to be really covered like that all the time and he can't find a way to get open, one of the best route runners, I think, in the league, I really like Garrett Wilson's route running. We're just going to throw it to Mike Williams. Throw it to Lazard. They both find a way to get open. Rodgers is on the same page with them. If Garrett Wilson has to be a decoy for us to have success, I'm okay with that. I just want success. It matters what's on the front, which is weird because I'm wearing a Rodgers Wilson shirt and I'm saying I don't care about Garrett Wilson right now. I just want to win. I want to win. And I can't even say it's about the name on the front of the jersey because we don't even have our fucking name on the front of the jersey. It's just green, white. You know what I'm trying to say. I care about the wins. That's what I want to see happen. I don't care how it's done. Let's just do it. Billy says Jets will now beat Minnesota and Buffalo, and you'll all behave. Then you'll believe. And they'll lose to Pittsburgh. Hope this helps. Billy, you are like preaching to the choir because this is how the Jets do it. They're like, oh yeah, you're so sad. You're so sad. Oh, here's a surprise win. Oh, here's another win. And now you're riding high and you're like, let's fucking go. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's go steamroll Justin Fields and the fucking Steelers on Sunday Night Football, and then we'll lay a goose egg. That's how it happens. Been through this song and dance every single year. Jets fan Wilson is very off this year. He is acting a bit like a punk. He ran away from the team after the touchdown last week. So I think Garrett is getting frustrated, and I'm not. I mean, I'll say this. I've said it a bunch of times. If people get pissed off at me, I don't care. You can dislike the video all you want. I'm going to tell you my honest takes. I don't think Garrett Wilson is here long. I don't think he signs a second contract with us. I'm not so sure he's here next year. That could be a bold friggin' take. And it's early to say that right now. I don't think he's here beyond Rodgers for sure. But if there's a bad season right now, I'm not so sure he's here beyond this year. Something does seem off to me. Mumtaz says, I have a bad feeling that Minnesota will expose this defense. You know what's going to happen? We're gonna lose Minnesota. We're going to lose Buffalo. And then we're going to fire everyone. And then everything's going to go sideways. And guess who's a free agent quarterback at the end of this year? We're going to bring Sammy Boy back. It's going to happen. Book it. Bring back Sam Darnold. No, God damn it. No, I don't want to have these crazy takes. It's too early. The tinfoil hat's not even lined in the hat yet. Oh. God, I'm frustrated. I just want to win some games. I want to not think about this shit. You're going to get my honest thoughts. That's where I'm at right now. Hey, Stu, this is deeper than just the offensive situation. You're dealing with a bad offensive coordinator and no defensive tackle to stop the run. Well, we're going to get Fotu back next week, right? Like, we get him back from Minnesota. I'm assuming that's what's happening. He was on the 4-week IR. So hopefully that does help us. I don't think the stats they had yesterday, that shouldn't have been a loss. That shouldn't have been a loss. Poll, Rex Ryan or John Gruden? No. Sorry. What about giving it to Braylon Allen? Yes, we should. 100%. Oreo says, Ryan, I love Garrett, but he has to start showing up. He has, I get he has faced elite corners, but how does Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb do it? Can't be making up excuses for Garrett Wilson. He needs to start showing up. No excuses. Yeah, I agree. He's been incredibly disappointing this year. He's got to start clicking. And look, I'm going to throw some blame on Rodgers, too. I don't think Rodgers looked very good yesterday. I thought he came up short on a few passes. Now, unless those are like where he was trying to put the ball and the player, the receiver just didn't adjust to where it should have been. I don't know that much about it. And obviously me being in the stands, not being able to watch like the TV replays all the time. There's probably a little bit of bias there of me not knowing, but I don't think Rodgers had a particularly great game either. Shadow says, too many egos spoil the soup. The age gap and attention on Rodgers is an issue, in my opinion. It will be the same thing next year or two. Same old dysfunctional organization in rebuild mode. Look, I think this team was hyper-focused on trying to win a Super Bowl, and I think there are some concerns from, look, an aging quarterback. I think there's some concerns with the offensive coordinator. I think Nathaniel Hackett's not really the best coordinator for the job. I think Downing should probably be calling plays right now. Try to spark something. I don't know. Look, I think Rodgers is a net positive for this team. Kenneth, they need to get on the same page fast. It's not just the coaching staff. The bad players can't do the little things right. Yeah, look, pre-snap penalties, that's on the players. That's not on the coaching staff. You could say, hey, there's a discipline issue or something like that, but that's on the players. Breece Hall, you own that false start. Fashanu, Tyron Smith, you guys own those false starts. You own the holds that you get. Absolutely. Penalties are on the players. Discipline, you could argue is on coaching staff, make it a little bit more strict or something like that, but I do think it's an issue. Oreo says, hurts me to think Garrett Wilson might leave. Love me some Garrett Wilson. I really like Garrett Wilson. I don't want Garrett Wilson to leave. I think he's a really good receiver. I don't think he's staying around. And I think it's going to be more of a he pushes himself out of this situation than Jets necessarily want to get rid of him. Now, it could be a situation where the Jets say, hey, We're going to let you play your third year. We're going to let you play your fourth year. And we're going to exercise your fifth year option this offseason. But after Rodgers, we'll send you where you want to go, and we'll figure it out. Now, it depends. Like, maybe the Jets aren't going to get a great return for him. He hasn't played up to, like, a first-round pick return, I don't think. I mean, maybe you could get a first from a team for sure for him. Like, one that might project towards the back end of the first round or something. But he hasn't earned the trade capital that could have come with, like, an Ayuk or a Metcalf. I guess DK didn't get traded, but A.J. Brown or, any of those guys. I don't think he's earned that level of respect just yet. Unconscious zone. The problem is New York media way overhypes that talent. We always look good on paper, never on the field. Yeah, look, this seems to be a consistent thing across multiple years, multiple regimes, multiple everything. So I don't know. Question for Ulbrich. Why couldn't you generate a sack or a pressure, and why didn't you have Gardner travel with Sutton? I wish they would just allow Sauce to travel, because it doesn't make sense to me why you would have your best corner and, best secondary piece on, like, a no-name receiver that's probably not getting the ball. That always pissed me off with, like, Revis to, like, some weird extent, where he would follow the best receiver, and if they just had, like, you just ignore that number one receiver, and then you go the opposite direction. But, like, the same thing with staying on the same side of the field. You're always going to know where Sauce is. Like, oh, Sauce is on that side of the field? It's the Nnamdi Asomugha treatment. I'm just going to go to the other side of the field. You neutralize that issue on the other side. Really, really frustrating. Sky C, thank you for the super chat, says, if we keep getting beat and we're making dumb mistakes, do you really think Woody wouldn't do anything in season or wait till the end? I think Woody will know. I think Woody's going to fire Salah. If we lose the next two games, I think Salah's gone. I really do think that Woody Johnson can at least acknowledge that we need Aaron Rodgers to make it to a Super Bowl, and we might only have him for 2 years. And I do not think, Robert Saleh at 2-5 is going to turn this team around, or 2-4, or whatever it is. Jets start winning. Look, they win against Minnesota. They lose a tough game to Buffalo. You're not going to hear me bitching. You're not going to hear me bitching. Buffalo is a hard team. Minnesota is a hard team. You have some opportunities here. Start playing good football. Start winning some games. At least make it competitive. Yesterday's game, while the score was close, like, that felt like a shit game. That was one of the most boring games I've ever seen. Sitting there in the rain, and then it goes on to, be a loss against a team we should have beaten. I think Woody will make the decision, though. I think he will fire Saleh just because he's never been in a situation where the Jets need to win a Super Bowl and you have that, like, crunch time of, like, a very short window of time. I think he would do it. And I don't think other, like, people would look down on Woody for making that call at that point in time. Omar, do you think Sauce lack of tackling skills has something to do with concussion problems? He seems to hesitate to tackle. He was dragged for 20 yards trying to tackle a running back. Well, I mean, Sauce is light. What is he, 190 pounds maybe? At like 6 foot, whatever the hell, 6'3", 6'4". He's not a very big dude. So it's not so much that he's bad at tackling as much as he's just, like, doesn't carry a lot of weight with him. I'm not going to lose a bunch of sleep. I don't think Sauce is that bad of a tackler that he's a detriment to your defense. Has he had concussions? I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, he definitely got that stinger. Was it 2 weeks ago? Was it against the Titans? I think it was against the Titans. I don't know. I think Sauce will be a lifetime Jet. I'm not overly concerned with him. 2 All-Pros in back-to-back years. He's earned a little bit of slack from me, if you will. I was also super high on Sauce. So I've got a strong bias going there. Freedom House. Dude, if you line up twice off sides, it's bad, but acceptable. In one game, what the hell? Yeah, dude, I don't understand how you line up off sides. It makes no sense. Did he get 2 of them? Was that what happened? I saw one for sure was McDonald, but I didn't catch, obviously I don't have replay in the live games, but super frustrating. Mumtaz, I knew it was a bad omen when after crushing New England, all of the media started talking the Jets and Super Bowl. Denver D is no joke, and like San Francisco, they exposed the offense. I don't know how much they exposed the offense. as much as the weather probably played into more of their hand, if you tee in on the running game, like it seems like they kind of did to us, and you force Rodgers to now have to throw a wet ball in less than ideal conditions, anytime you have to have an exchange of the football where you have to rely on the slickness or the grip of the quarterback's hand, you saw the ball slide out of Rodgers' hands at least once. I think it played more into the Broncos' hands than it did the Jets' hands, mainly because we haven't really seen like a good running game from the Jets just yet. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely, you're probably right. Anytime we get too much hype, we should just be underdogs perpetually. We win against Minnesota, fucking let's give the Jets shit. We win against Buffalo, let's give the Jets shit. Let's not hype the Jets up. As a collective fan base, let's just shit on the Jets. After every win, I shouldn't say shit on the Jets. Okay, optimistic, great. Okay, good win. On to the next one. Let's figure it out. That's what I think. Anytime we get too excited about this damn team, we wind up shooting ourselves in the foot. Dano, Ryan, are you ready for 9 a.m. football? I love 9 a.m. football. I'll tell you right now, as much as it's making you sick right there and that little green emoji, I love the London game because that means it's probably better when the Jets were terrible, but you get to watch the Jet game. I get to cover the game, do all that good stuff, and then I get to watch the rest of football the rest of the day. Red zone, other teams. You get to do some scouting. Because when I'm at a game, if I go to a Jet game, I'm not watching any other games. Like, I'm literally, the first game I'm watching right now, outside of the Jets, is Titans-Dolphins. I caught a little bit of last night's game. So I like the 9 o'clock game. If you could tell me the Jets could play at 9 o'clock in the morning all the time, sign me up. I'm not getting to the tailgate 5 hours early for a 9 o'clock game, but I do very much like the 9 o'clock start. I think that is fun. Jandro says, I told my cousin right before the game that I felt cocky about winning this game. In the same breath, I told myself, but in typical Jets fashion, we will lose in the most Jets way ever. Yes. I'm watching a 56-yard attempt here. Sorry. Does he make it? Bastard. 9-6. It's a good kick. Good kick. Yeah, dude, that's how it feels. Welcome to Jets fan. Rover saying Garrett not better than Santana Moss or Lavernius Coles. I think he's more talented. He just, is definitely not playing better right now than those two. Let's see. Oreo asking, Ryan, how confident are you in this defense? Got exposed by San Francisco. 2 bad quarters against Levis. Beat fourth stringers. Beat fourth round and fourth stringers in New England and had 2 pressures and 0 sacks on a rookie. Run D is terrible. Look, I am still confident in this defense. They only gave up 10 points this week. They gave up 3 points the week before that. They gave up, 14 points to, was it 14 or 17 to the Titans? I'm okay with the defense. We do need a pass rush. We do have to figure that out. I don't think Quinnen's been overly great this season either. I think Quinnen hasn't had a very good season. I feel like our biggest stars are very underwhelming right now. It's frustrating. Aaron Rodgers is going to rip Minnesota's defense to shreds in London. I think he's going to have a little vitriol with his, I don't want to call it PTSD, but Packers post-traumatic whatever. I think him going against Minnesota for so long might add a little bit of extra firepower to that. I hope it does, because we sure as hell need it. Sunday 9 a.m. is a good day if the Jets win. Yeah, if the Jets lose, I mean, it does ruin the rest of your day. But I do like the 9 o'clock start. The 9 o'clock start is kind of nice. Infrared says, Sauce is a praying mantis. He's not used for tackling. He's utilized more for covering the field for his length and wingspan. Yeah, look, there's certain things. Hey, Quinnen Williams is terrible in coverage. Right? Like, that's sort of how I feel about when they say, Sauce can't tackle. Now, obviously, Sauce has more opportunities to tackle than Quinnen has opportunities to cover. But, yeah, it's that's sort of how I feel on that. Sal excuse Was that it rained? It's ridiculous. I think the rain did play a factor. I don't think it should have played a factor on 1st and goal from the 1 when you have Braylon Allen, who's been a beast at getting yardage, and you're probably just trying to appease Breece by giving him the ball in those situations so he can get his touchdowns. But I do think the weather did impact how we were able to play. Slaps, we're 2-2, and everyone is already moving on. We're 2-2, and everyone is already moving on is a joke. Yes, Sunday was a bad game. Bad games happen. Let's not get carried away on the doom and gloom. I think the doom and gloom really comes in from having Minnesota, who looks very good right now. And, I mean, at the time, Buffalo had just beat the piss out of Jacksonville. Now, granted, they lost last night, so we're feeling a little bit better. Like, all things considered, the Jets aren't in a terrible position right now. But it does feel like we are never prepared on longer rest. And that's not just a this season thing or a 2-2 thing. This is a it's been 4 years thing for Robert Saleh. So that's there is some concern there for sure. Unconscious says one Jets drive must be editing out the parts where Saleh is talking or is taking guys over the knee. He's all about positivity and ego management. Yeah, like maybe one Jets drive is just editing out the spankings that Saleh's giving, and maybe he is actually holding the team accountable. No, it certainly doesn't look like he's holding the team accountable because everyone comes out undisciplined. Everyone comes out like it doesn't feel like he's striking fear into anyone. Like they should have benched Breece or like, hey, Garrett, you're not holding the ball with 2 hands. Can't fumble. I don't know. Roger's saying you got to hold people accountable for penalties and stuff. Yeah, I agree. I think he's at least trying to be the adult in the room. I don't think he's really had a great game yesterday either. Hopefully this is a 1 of 1. This is like oh no, bad game. It's a stinker. We're going to get right for Minnesota, and then we're going to clean Buffalo's clock. That's what I want to see. Dano, do you think that rain cloud yesterday was the same one that follows Zach everywhere he goes? That is a great line, Dano. I very much like that. When we were sitting up there, and as the Broncos come running out, and you hear all the boos from the fans, I see one player going like this, running out. Number 4, Zach Wilson. I know Zach had nothing to do with yesterday's game, but man, as soon as that started, I was like, man, I want to shut him up. I just want to shut him up. But it probably was that rain cloud. Follows him everywhere. Kenneth says, Rain Schmain. Rodgers played his entire career in Green Bay. Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers can't catch the football, and Aaron Rodgers can't run the football after he hands it off. So, like, it's a team game. And I feel like the offense as a whole was really bad. Saleh reminds me of Zach Wilson blaming the wind. Yeah. Minnesota lets up 390 yards and 4 touchdowns to Jordan Love and a 5.7 yards a carry to Jacobs. We're going to effing destroy him. I mean, I hope so. I didn't watch that game, and Minnesota was up big. Were they not? I'm pretty sure Minnesota was up like 21, or was it 28 to like 3 or 7 or whatever. They were up by a whole lot. So I don't know how much of that was like garbage time. I have to sit and watch their game. I'll do that this week. Infrared. The first half, our defense gave the Broncos a goose egg with -7 yards. The bottom line is Aaron Rodgers threw 42 times and we rushed 18 times total. That's disgusting on a rainy day. I mean, look, we rushed 18 times. Breece Hall had 0.4 yards a carry. At some point, you just got to throw because clearly it's not working. But I don't understand why they did not try to have Braylon Allen in there more consistently. Braylon Allen has been our best running back this season so far. The same way that Allen Lazard and Mike Williams have been our best receivers so far this year. That shouldn't be. Our good players have to get right. Ace Stu. Ryan, this run defense can't stop the run when it's important, nor can they get pressure on the quarterback to get off the field on 3rd down. So from what Dom was saying in the last show, he was saying that the Jets tried, or it seems like the Jets tried to play contain because Bo Nix was the Denver Broncos leading rusher heading into yesterday's game. So maybe there's some degree of like, oh, let's just contain him. Don't let him beat us with his legs in a rainy day. And you know what? We'll just trust that our guys can stop the run. And they, for the most part, they did. It was the second half that started to kind of fall apart there. But I don't know. Hopefully we get some reinforcements with the Fotu coming back. I don't know. I did think that they should have. I think they passed it like 3 straight times on that opening drive, and then Garrett fumbled. I was like, why didn't you start running the ball first in a rainy day? Because I was asking the same question. Guys, it was raining, but they should have gave the ball to Allen. Yeah, look, Braylon's at least, like, he's performed with the ball in his hands. Kyle, what do we think about Pete Carroll hire? Pete's old and offensive-minded coach, knows what it takes to win, and probably would fit in a 1 to 2 year window because of his age. That's interesting. I don't think you're bringing him in. I think the easiest fix would be to bring in like a Vrabel after the season, because a lot of the Titans coaching staff is already here, so you can kind of almost keep that same thing going. And then maybe it's a situation where it's like, hey, you know, maybe he's the guy, or I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with Douglas, because I want to see Douglas back. I do think Douglas is a good GM. Sure, you got to hold him accountable for the Salah hire, but I mean, I've made hires before that are like, okay, like on paper, this guy should have worked out, and it just didn't. You know, you try to gauge it as best you can on the conversations you have, the 2-3 meetings that you might have prior to hiring him, the tape you have on the guy, the interviews you do with other people about a particular coach. So there is some more context, obviously, with a head coaching hire. But Robert Saleh was like the top hire in that coaching carousel, if I'm not mistaken. To be fair, I wanted Brian Daboll. He just went back to the Bills at that point. He wasn't an option. I was happy with Saleh, though. I think Saleh was a good hire given what we knew at the time. It just hasn't worked out. Hindsight, you probably hired Dave Campbell or Dan Campbell or Bong Shula. Whatever his name is, down McDaniels down in Miami. Maybe he would have worked out. But he was a year after, though, wasn't he? I think that's how that went down. Jet the F up. Saying milk thumbs. Milk thumbs. That's right. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. That designed run with Rodgers was sick. He looked at a maximum 38 years old. Dude, we're sitting up there, and I'm like, wow, I almost thought Rodgers had the ball. They clearly handed it off to the running back. And then, like, I thought the play was over. And then, like, because none of the players were really, like, going after Rodgers initially. And then he slid, and I was like, I was right, he did have the ball. But I was like, no, but that was wrong because I thought I thought it was a good play. I thought it was a good, clever keep by Rodgers. I don't want to see him running with the football, really, at all. I'd rather see some like if you're gonna do something crazy squirrely like that, like let Braylon and Breece like wildcat the ball. Although then that probably eliminates the throwing potential. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Freedom House says, "Oh man, me and probably others yelling at the screen to put Allen in. One reason we are doom and gloom today." Yeah, well that's just it. It feels like the fans collectively know more about this fucking team than the coaching staff does. I apologize for my language. It's a little colorful tonight. But I'm frustrated. Jay Burney, special teams was bad this week between Irv Charles' stupid tackle on the returner and Greg's missed kick. Greg's missed kick at 50 yards, I have a really hard time blaming him for. Like, that's a tough kick. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence going into that other than, like, okay, Zuerlein's been, like, you know, he's made these kicks before, like bad weather, whatever. It felt like a far kick, though. So I don't know. And the Irv Charles hit, I thought he should have been ejected. That was wildly egregious. Like, he cleaned that returner's clock. I don't even know who it was. But, like, it felt like he was like, oh, no, I'm going to get a penalty. I arrived too early. I'm hitting him. Well, I might as well, if I'm going to get the penalty, I'm just going to hit him really friggin' hard. So, like, I do, like, get that side of things. But, like, that to me was a blatant personal foul. That should have been like an ejection. Boogie down. I think the coach needs to stop being a cheerleader. That's for the players. Let them celebrate all the work they did throughout the week. Just coach. I think the coach needs to stop being a cheerleader for the players. I get that. I understand that. Let them celebrate all the work they did throughout the week. Just coach. Are you saying like you want them to celebrate in game? I'm not sure if I understand. I thought the Lazard penalty was kind of annoying, the little like pistol guns. But I remember that being an issue with Keyshawn Johnson. He did the neck slit the one time. He's like, it's over. And I always thought that was really cool. I thought that was like a cool, like, The finger guns is like, I don't think that should be you're not supposed to use like weapons, I guess, as like a celebratory tactic. That's kind of annoying. I didn't think that was worth 15 points. It wasn't like he was like, ha ha, and that, like, I feel like that there's a little more aggression when you like do something like that. I don't know. Let's see. I saw Dano say something up here. Let me just scroll back up. Ryan, are you with me that it seems like we're currently passing to open up the run when we need to flip it? We got to use Braylon in the first half and Breece as a little change of pace. So I do agree. I think, but I do think it's the right call. I do think passing to open up the run is probably the right move. Yesterday probably was not the best decision given the weather, but based on how we played the first half of, all of week 1, the first half of week 2, I do think spreading the ball around and getting some more opportunities. Wow, that's a bomb. Is he going to be wide open? Good, that's way too far. Tyreek Hill couldn't get to it. Yeah, I do think, I agree with you. And then, look, maybe using Braylon in the first half and using Breece to, like, slash and gash people, maybe that's the right move. Honestly, I like seeing both of them in the backfield, and if you can split Breece out as a wide receiver and have Braylon either block or run the ball, that's probably the best of both situations for me. Long Island Golf Junkies, yo, come up to Crystal Springs. I'll set you up a golf outing. Sorry. That's the problem. He's responding to Boogie Down Bronx. That's the problem. He doesn't know how to coach. Talking about Robert Saleh. We do have a poll question in the chat. Does Robert Saleh get fired? 32% say no, but what is it? 67% say if he gets losses in some capacity over these next 3 weeks, then he might be gone. Should be fired. I think after 2, if he loses to the Vikings and he loses to the Bills, I think Saleh should be fired. I don't want to see him fired because I don't know how successful that ultimately ends up making your team, but I do think that's an issue. Minnesota is due for a fall. It's coming in London. That would be really nice. I'd like to see that. Yeah, it is kind of nice they didn't like lose this week because I feel like you're setting yourself up for like a failure. Gerger says, I appreciate the uncensored Jets talk. Look, I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling. It's not always right. I try to make some educated decisions and guesses and assumptions as best I can. But I'll always tell you how I'm feeling. I had a very interesting conversation with Dom earlier on the Talking Jets channel that I'm sure will get clipped and will be terrible for me when I look at the shorts tomorrow, but that's all right. We talked about the hypothetical, like, let's say you only have a 2-year window and you think Garrett Wilson, by the trade deadline, they're still not clicking. There's something off. Garrett seems unhappy. And you only got a 1.5 years left of Rodgers. Do you move Garrett for like Devontae and a pick? Because I don't think you can trade Garrett Wilson purely for Devontae. That would hurt, given the age. But if Garrett's going to wind up trying to hold out at the end of the season or try to force a trade anyway because like shit's going wrong, I don't think it's that outrageous. I don't want to see it happen. I'm sure I'll get downvoted, but hey, guess what? I was a year ahead of time on the Jamal Adams trade. Just so we're all clear. This has been a while now. I call it as I see it. If that ultimately happens, I want my respect if it does. Deshaun Williams. We got to do better with our D-line. Everyone stinks besides Quinnen and Will McDonald. Man, we couldn't get any pressure on Nix, and the O-line needs to be more disciplined. Way too many errors. The O-line has way too many errors. False starts, illegal shifts, stupid shit like that. Don't like to see it. I think the O-line's a bigger issue than the D-line. I think Dom's probably right with Nix being the leading rusher heading into yesterday's game. They probably decided not to blitz Nix. See if you could contain your zones, like your running lanes, and prevent him from running. Force him to throw the ball in inclement weather against a really good secondary. I think that probably does make some sense. Dano says, pick the most frustrating. The synchronicity issues with Garrett Wilson, the usage of running backs, or the penalties. For me, it's penalties. Penalties really suck. Like, at least Garrett, like, as much as that's frustrating, they're clicking with Lazard and Mike Williams. So, like, I could give two shits if Garrett Wilson is a first-round pick decoy for right now, if we're having success in other areas. Usage of the running backs was frustrating yesterday, but overall, I do agree with having Breece be the main guy. Right now, I would probably start giving Allen a few more touches, maybe level out whatever that touch threshold is. If it's, Breece gets 15 touches over a game, then maybe Braylon should get 15 touches over a game, both in receiving and rushing. Whatever it is, I think it should be pretty close to even because I think Allen's having more success right now. Sodak, Ryan, awful take. You could trade Garrett Wilson for Justin Jefferson and we'd still have too many issues. Look, yeah, we got a bunch of issues. I don't think Garrett Wilson is the only issue. I'm saying, obviously we turn it around, whatever. I'm just saying if it's not clicking by halfway through the season and you say, hey, we need a year and a half, and like if he's not going to figure it out, what goes on? Oreo's upset with me too. Ryan, I love you, but that's blasphemous talk. Don't try and paint a picture of Garrett Wilson. Try and fit your narrative. Garrett Wilson isn't the headache that Adams was. No, yes, I agree. I'm not trying to compare those two. I'm more so trying to compare my unfavorable take towards the fan base with being correct. Everyone loved Jamal at the time. They wanted to pay Jamal a ton of money. I was like, Jamal's getting traded. I was telling you Jamal was getting traded. It was at the deadline. When the whole thing happened with the drama and stuff, I was like, his ass is getting moved. He's upset he didn't go to Dallas at that point. That's what I thought. Garrett, I'm picking up on cues, body language. He strikes me as, hey, if it's not working out here, I'm not wasting more of my time. That's the body language I'm reading. Publicly, Garrett says the right things. I really like Garrett, and I want him to work out. I do not want him to leave. This is not like the Jamal situation. Like I was done with Jamal. I am nowhere near there with Garrett. But I could see it happening. Infrared, if we make it to the Super Bowl and we go wide right or left like the Bills, I will lose my shit. Greg the Leg. Look, if we make it to the Super Bowl, we're not going to have to worry about a wide left, wide right, because we're going to just beat the ever-living piss out of whoever that NFC team is. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. Wild Wave, Garrett, for Adams and picks is the dumbest thing you ever came up with. What happens if Garrett forces his way out at the end of the season? Would it be that dumb to have thought that? Just saying. I'm sitting on the outside looking in. I'm just reading tea leaves here. Rover, Devontae traded to the Chiefs, my prediction. So that's the second favorite in betting, the plus 400 for Devontae going to the Chiefs. It is a division rival. That would surprise me, but the Chiefs might be willing to overpay to get Devontae to get that three-peat, and maybe the Raiders say, hey, well, Devontae's not going to be there long enough to really impact us long-term because this rebuild's probably going to take more than 2 years. So I could see it. I think the Bills and I think Baltimore also make sense for Devontae. And then dark horse would probably be like the Saints. Rover, poll idea. Rex Ryan, no. Gruden, no. Aaron Glenn, I like. Or stick with Saleh. That's your fucking coaching choices, Rover? What the hell is that? What did I just read? No. Look, I like Aaron Glenn out of all these options, and Aaron Glenn's a defensive coordinator. I don't really, if we go with a new coach, as much as I like Aaron Glenn, I would have no problem with him being our head coach. I do not want to go with another defensive guy. I want Ben Johnson would be my number one choice. I would say Vrabel would probably be number 2 for me. Who else is? Joe Brady would probably be number 3. The guy from the Saints, the OC, Clint Kubiak, he'd be up there. Who else is on the short list? Aaron Glenn would probably be on there. Aaron Glenn's 4 or 5 for me. Probably 5. Andrew says, how about getting inventive and using Corley? I don't know what's going on with that. Like, Yak King hasn't been very yacky or in the field yet, on the field yet. He's got, 1 catch, 2 catches on the season right now? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you get him involved because we have a lot of talent. He's just kind of stuck behind there. I would like to see Corley on kick returns more consistently or at all. Like, I don't think... Why are we throwing a Xavier Gipson on a back shoulder throw in crunch time? Someone explain that to me. When you have Garrett and you got Allen Lazard and you got Mike Williams and Conklin and Brees and Braylon, like all these guys should be getting looks before Xavier Gipson. Xavier Gibson's living on like... He's riding on last year's week 1 punt return. That's what it is. He had a few nice grabs, a few nice scampers, throughout the course of last year. But man, that is not where I want to see that ball go. Wild Wave, I really like Ben Johnson. So do I. I think he's going to get his choice of where he wants to go. If the Dallas job opens up, I could see him going there. If the Philly job opens up, I could see him going there. The Jet job opens up, I'd sure like to see Woody throw some money at him. I do really like him. Boogie Down Bronx. What I was saying was that Coach Salin needs to stop celebrating with the players when they make a play. That's for the players, not the coach. Just coach. Okay. Look, I think there is a fun... I want the coach to show emotion. I do. I want him to be mad when he's mad. I want him to be happy when he's happy. I loved Rex Ryan. He wore his emotion on his sleeve. Now, that's not always great for like press conferences and the targets he puts on his back. But like, if you score a touchdown, like I want you to be excited. I want like there's something as a former athlete, if you did something that was really good and your coach was super hyped about it, like there's that is like a very cool thing to see happen. And I think that does endear you a little bit to your team. You don't want to get too high. You don't get too low. Like I understand that. I think holding players accountable is a little bit more important than anything else. So you're asking, am I doing calls tonight? I could have sworn I had my call-in thing going. Oh, I definitely I turned it off. My bad. I was like, wow, I didn't get a call all night. That's my bad. Let's see. We're at the hour mark. So Charles, I see you behind the stage. So I'll keep you in there right now. Give me 1 second. I just want to acknowledge our sponsor one more time. So if you guys haven't done so already, get 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 using code YouTube150 over at BetUS if you want to bet on who Davante Adams' next team is going to be. The Jets are currently sitting at minus 200. Chiefs are at plus 400. Ravens plus 450. Bills plus 500. So if you're feeling a little, little rambunctious, maybe seeing a little bit of Davante getting traded in the near future, put some money on it. And if you do, use code YouTube150. Get yourself a bonus match. All right. Let's see. What we got going on? What are we talking about? We've got Charles. We're going to do 2-minute timers. I like the 2-minute timer. 2-minute timer is kind of nice. So let's do this. Charles Gorman. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Look, I know everyone's so down in the dumps at the moment, but I was really more disappointed than upset because the offense, after all, was good the first 3 weeks of the season. And, I understand Denver was a bad loss. I understand that, and I'm not sugarcoating it. But, the Vikings aren't exactly world beaters either. I mean, they were up 28-0 over Green Bay, and they came away with a 31-29 victory. They should have put up more points. They should have not kept their foot off the gas pedal. And, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, Salah really disappointed me big time yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Our defense played well enough, but they didn't get a sack. even though they got 14 sacks the first 3 weeks of the season. But against Denver, they didn't get any. They did force a really nice turnover. They did give up over 100 yards rushing again, which really needs to stop.
Mm.
But, as for Rodgers, look, I believe in Aaron Rodgers. That's the number one reason why I'm a bit more optimistic.
Okay. So do you think Salah is getting a longer leash? Like what happens? That's what I really want to drill down on. I want to figure out like where this fan base is. Seems like a lot of people want to see something happen to Salah. Sorry, Charles. We're not here to read the chat. We're here to talk some football. Charles, you've been ejected from the cockpit. Let's see. We've got Steven and Cameron and then Mike on the line. So let's go over to Steven. Steven, how you doing, dude?
I'm good, dude. Hey, I'm just going to say this right now. Y'all need to trade for Devontae.
Now, do you think I'm totally out of left field with thinking that there's like a somewhat chance that Garrett may not be here in the future? Like the body language is telling me something. Am I totally crazy? I probably shouldn't talk about this too much because then people are going to just attribute this to me. I don't want that to happen.
I don't think you're crazy. Look, people don't want to be on losing teams, and I'm not calling the Jets a losing team. But
it's been a losing team the last 2 years that Garrett's been here too. So like he's probably wearing on it.
It's been a losing team my entire lifetime, and I'm only like 21. So, yeah.
Yep.
I think I need to trade for Devontae simply because of the fact that Aaron literally said on record that Devontae's the best player he's ever played with. And that's saying something considering his career. He played with Charles Woodson. So that's saying something.
Well, Charles Woodson's also the defensive side of the ball. So like offensively, that could be like, I do think Devontae's the best player that I can think of that he's played with on the offensive side. I mean, the shell of Jimmy Graham, sort of.
Okay, but what about Jordy Nelson?
Yeah, good, all good. I think Devontae was a different level.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
So what do you think the plan is? Like, do you think the Jets wind up keeping Salah? Do you have to pull a plug at a certain point, and when is that point?
Like I said last night, if they lose to the Vikings and Bills, his ass better be gone because he sucks. Like, I don't think he's a good coach. I think he was carried by that 49ers defense, and that's what elevated him to be a good coach.
It's the animation on the sideline. It's the bald Mr. Clean Head. He's aggressive looking, like feels gritty. I don't know. We got to figure it out. David, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. I've got Cameron, then Mike joining the line. Let's go over to Cameron. Cameron, how you doing tonight, dude?
How you think I'm doing? You saw the game. You were there.
Sucks. I was wet. I was cold. It was miserable. Hated it.
I mean, I'm in Green Bay watching the resurgence of Sam Darnold play like I thought he would when he got drafted. I'm not going to swear because I swore at the game going, what the is this? Like, where did this come from?
Maybe we get Ben Johnson. He played against Sam Darnold this year, and he's like, hey, Sam, come over here. We're going to just, like, torch the league. Let's give you the renaissance.
I would take it.
I like Sam a lot.
I loved him coming out. Like, I remember throwing a draft party when the Jets had a chance to get him at a Buffalo Wild Wings here in Wisconsin. And when it actually happened, I, like, flipped the hell out. I mean, I have a piece of his jersey. It was a cut off piece of the jersey I bought off NFL.com. Like, I was all in for Sam Darnold, and yeah, that didn't go well.
Dude, I loved it.
As far as the question in the chat, I'd get rid of him now.
Yeah,
I think
the
team is
like after this loss, like after a Vikings loss.
The Vikings game because it's such a long trip coming up. There's no real way to like replace him now. Whether it's Ulbrich or one of the other guys on the team, it wouldn't really work. But I think the team has lost. It's no longer inspired by him. He used to have, a real fight for me attitude. You could see it in the way the players went after things. That's gone. The penalties are racking up every week. The offense looks terrible, and yeah, the defense looks good. But if you give up 10 points, you can't score 9. I'm sorry, I don't. And the league has gone offensive, and I know.
I'm being ruthless with the eject button. I love you, Cameron, but you've been ejected from the cockpit. Bye. Oh God, I see. I haven't been ruthless with the eject button until last night, so now I'm just gonna be boom eject, boom eject. Thank you, Cameron. Charles, you can call back in too if you want. There's no looking at the chat. We're having a conversation. It's an A and B conversation, so see your way out of it before D and E F you up. Got Mike joining the show. Mike, how you doing, dude?
Am I wrong about this? Isn't Xavier Gibson 5'9", 5'10"?
Probably, but
like,
back shoulder throws make a ton of sense.
Receiver, the smallest one, and you want him to do the jump ball? Not Mike Williams, whose job is to fucking get the ball, who has a catch radius of 10 miles. I'm sorry, I have to crash out for my friends because they think it's funny, but holy shit, are we joking here? And like I said, the why didn't we do the 2 running backs? And why do we always just regress? We have promise. We showed things the last game. We showed we could have 2 running backs in the backfield. We showed we can spread the ball around. We can do these things. And then we play the Denver Broncos, the mighty Denver Broncos, and we just fall apart. It's beautiful. We can't do shit right in the rain. This reminded me of the 2 years ago with Zach Wilson, and his excuse was the rain with Zach Wilson. Now you got Aaron Rodgers. What the fuck is the excuse now? The cadence that made Aaron Rodgers famous for 20 years? That's your fucking excuse, Salah? Sorry. But, like, that's your excuse. To blame Salah's the cadence. Dude, get lost. And then you backtrack it because you're a coward and you can't actually stick to anything you say because you're a terrible coach? Oh, my gosh, man. What a joke. Play for field goals, lose by field goals. You deserve this one, Salah. I can't stand the guy anymore. He's lost
$1 million roster with a 10-cent brain trust.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And I've been saying that, though, that we're winning in spite of the coach. But now Breece Hall's falling off a cliff. Garrett Wilson can't get his head out of his ass. Like, how do you get a false start as a running back? Explain that one to me. When Allen Lazard's your best receiver and he was a healthy scratch for half the year last year, great going, guys. We're fucking fantastic. Kick me out, but holy shit, that's how much failing us.
Fantastic call. Mike, that was some zest. Woo, ooh, sprinkle a little spice on that. Oh, I enjoyed that. Thank you, Mike. Oh, bad. Matthew coming in saying 13 penalties, not on Salah. Look, it's not totally on Salah. I do think undisciplinedness does stem from the coaching staff, but you're right. Look, Breece Hall knows not to move before the ball is snapped. Olu Fashanu should know the snap count. Tyron Smith should know the snap count. Will McDonald should not be lining up off sides. He knows that side offense, this side defense, snap the ball, then I go. That's what it should be. That's what it should be. Flat out. Shouldn't be on Salah for the penalties, but when it's consistently all the time, guys aren't focused. Something's going on. Tennessee now up 22-6 with just under 11 minutes left to go in this game. Thank God. Thank God. Dano, Ryan, I'm over here. Jealous of Detroit. They have the offense. I've been screaming that we have the personnel to replicate. Look, both running backs eaten, both scoring. Just saw ASB throw to Goff another touchdown. I should be watching that game, but I'm watching the Dolphin game right now. Actually, I think YouTube, does YouTube TV have the side-by-side? They might. Oh, they do. I should have both on. See? Look at me go. Now I got both going. Yeah, wow. Man, the Lions are a good team. Lions are exciting. Rover, Ryan wants a woke millennial coach, doesn't want to hurt feelings. We need Gruden or Rex. Fuck off. No. I've just been saying that Salah doesn't actually, do anything. He doesn't hold anyone accountable. Ben Johnson has offense. Vrabel, talk about being a gritty, hard-nosed coach. I don't even think he deserved to lose his job. I really like Vrabel. I would say Joe Brady falls into maybe the millennial category, I guess. But it took him some time to get there. Look, I wanted him as OC when he was coming out of New Orleans. He wound up going to Carolina. Didn't work out with Sammy Boy. Got fired. Goes to Buffalo, and now Buffalo looks unlocked outside of yesterday's game, I guess. Get me fired up, Rover. Aaron Glenn will take no crap. Look, I like Aaron Glenn. I wanted actually when I'm talking about Joe Brady as OC, I had Daboll as offensive coordinator. I had Aaron Glenn as defensive coordinator, and I had Daboll as head coach. I had Aaron Glenn as defensive coordinator, and I had Joe Brady as the OC. Those were the three guys I wanted back when we hired Saleh. Daboll went back to the Bills, so he wasn't an option. I don't know what happened. Aaron Glenn stayed in New Orleans, I think, for that year. I think. Is that right? That feels right. And then Brady wound up going to Carolina. So I'm not totally off base on this. Daboll would have been, I like Daboll. I think Daboll's a good coach. Doesn't have a quarterback. Hugo says 13 penalties is on fucking Saleh, and it's 15 penalties. Only 13 got accepted. He doesn't hold people accountable, and penalties have been an issue since he got here. Yeah, they have. It's definitely a discipline issue. But at the same time, it's also a player issue. Like, you can't absolve Brees or Will McDonald. Like, what is Saleh supposed to say? Okay, guys, we're going to get into the fucking office, this classroom, whatever. We're going to say, okay, here's a line. Defense, what side do you stand on? Offense, what side do you stand on? We don't got time for that. Like, players got to know, don't move until the ball snapped. But on a discipline thing, it's 100% on Saleh. Like, this has been a consistent issue with him, or a consistent issue with his teams. So I am there with you. Oreo, love me some ruthless Ryan. Charles, call back. I will. I love the eject button. I put the timer on so I could have fun with the eject button. I've been way too I don't want to say passive with it, but I've let people kind of finish their talking points. It goes a little bit longer. No. None of that. Ryan's turning into hard ass Ryan. It's going to be your ass getting ejected. That's what happens. Brees can easily be the Gibbs role. Braylon can easily be better than Montgomery. You just got to get Ben Johnson, right? Let's figure it out. Harlan says, Jets need another Parcells. Comes up behind his quarterback, gives him a big hug. When he gasps, says, ribs still not well, don't suit up. Yeah, you're not ready to go. I don't know who the right head coach is for us. I'd like to go with a bright up and coming offensive coordinator, as opposed to, or even like a retread head coach. Like, I would take Vrabel. Vrabel might be. I would say Ben Johnson's my first choice, only because I don't think it's necessarily likely to happen. I think he's probably going to choose a better quarterback situation than what we currently have, as opposed to needing to draft a quarterback after Rodgers. That said, maybe he wants to play with Rodgers and then actually draft his quarterback. That could be a thing too. But I do want to see a offensive-minded head coach or a very disciplinarian coach like Vrabel. Dante, thank you so much for the super chat. Dante says, does Saleh not know this already? We've been talking about his lack of discipline and accountability with this team for years. He's got to know this is a personal deficit. He's got to know. If he doesn't know, someone's got to tell him. Like, dude, yeah, we got a lot of penalties. You see how many penalties we have? Like Douglas pulls him into the office like, all right, let's look at all the penalties that every team has across the board and the coaches that they have. Where does Saleh rank on that? I mean, the Jets have been pretty high up in terms of team penalties year over year, so I'd imagine he's pretty high on that list. And then you just have one of those conversations like, well, Saleh, how the fuck do we figure this out? What does happen? Ugh. Silly. We've got Mike and we got Sodak on the line. I'm going to go to Sodak first, then I'm going to go to Mike. Sodak. How you doing, dude?
Ryan, the biggest sucker in all this again and again is the Jets fan.
Yes.
Man, I
Yes.
bought tickets, last-minute flights, last-minute tickets to London after the Patriots game. I don't
Oh,
even want to
no.
talk about how much I spent, and now I got to go watch this shit. Unbelievable.
We're suckers. That's what it
Positive out
is.
of all this, though. Positive out of all this, though. Nobody's talking about Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Like, I don't know how much, like, I find it very hard to believe that he's actually going to play for the Jets. With the financials of it just don't seem to make sense. Although if this team starts panicking a little bit more, maybe Douglas just says, fuck it, I'm not going to be here anyway. I might as well just sign him and screw over some of Woody's future salary cap, because who cares? If we don't win, I'm not here anyway. But it feels very much like Reddick is not going to play for the Jets.
I hear ya. But, like, being an optimist, I think the offense has the players on paper to figure it out, give us a couple more weeks. The defense, though, dude, we played the Patriots, which we looked good against. The worst O-line probably in the league. We played the Titans, who have a bad O-line, looked decent, and we can't get any pressure up front. I mean, dude, you've got undrafted free agents, Tack McKinley, Quinton Williams looks terrible. Clemens is bad. We got nothing, no push on the O-line, or on the D-line, rather. I don't know how we're going to look against the Vikings, who have a top 10 O-line, but I'm not optimistic on the defense.
Yeah, I'm not super thrilled. I don't know if is Mosley supposed to be back? He didn't play this past week, right? Like, it was just Sherwood and Quincy out there.
Yeah, but do you even want Mosley back? That's the question.
No, not necessarily, but I think it would help the running game if we had 3 linebackers, like, kind of bearing down, as opposed to playing more big playing like, you know, with an extra corner or something like that. And as much as I like Michael Carter, I don't know. I feel like the secondary's been pretty locked down. Or even to go like one safety and then have Carter in there too. I don't know. I feel like more linebackers would probably be helpful at this point in time. Sodak, you've been ejected from the cockpit. Thank you so much for the call, dude. Get over to Mike in just a second. I just want to acknowledge Dante's super chat. Thank you, Dante, for another super chat. Says, for coaches, I want experience and discipline. No up-and-coming coach, no offensive genius, no recent coordinator, just good experience and discipline. Vrabel seems to fit that the most. I agree, and I think Vrabel also doesn't upset the apple cart, because a lot of his coaches are here in Downing and Keith Carter. So, like, you could plug him in, I feel like, and not really step on too many toes. And I don't remember, but I feel like there was a point where Rodgers was considering Tennessee, and maybe that was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like before he was like almost going to go to Denver. There was like the possibility of maybe going to play with Tennessee at some point. I like Vrabel a lot. I think he's one of the smartest head coach. I think he's like a young Bill Belichick. That's what I really think. I would absolutely sign up for him here. I don't know why he doesn't have a job. It's probably just because he didn't want one. Whether or not he would come here, I do think there's probably some, like, I don't know. I feel like there's probably some bad aura among the New York Jets and, like, any Patriots former head coach. Like, I don't know if, like, Daboll would come here because he's like, screw the Jets. Like, that sort of a thing. But, yeah, I'm on board with Vrabel. If we could get Vrabel, I would absolutely sign up for that. All right, let's go over to Mike. How you doing, Mike? Again.
Yeah, I'm trying to be calm, but then I just blow up because that's how I am. I'm neurodivergent, so you guys know. So I didn't get anything cool like dinosaurs or sharks or trains. No, I got the New York Jets. So I get to suffer not only with my own issues, but having to watch this garbage every single week and having to act like I love it. But that's besides the point. Does Hackett know the depth chart? Because Solomon Thomas is not a fullback. Because he's not a fullback or a tight end. He's a defensive tackle. So why on a 3rd and 1 is he the one that you're trying to beat in man coverage? The dude is 350. He can't get past the offensive line. You're expecting him to catch a ball? Wait, what are we? I'm sorry. Like, that was ridiculous on that 3rd and 1. And then we get
they should have ran it straight up the gut.
False start. I don't get that either. But, like, whatever. Braylon Allen, I got to give you credit, though. You're doing better with the time management of your ejections than Robert Saleh does with the clock during the games. So that's, like, pretty impressive on your end.
I'm paying attention to the play clock.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 45% sure that an infant baby can pick plays better than Hackett, giving situational football. It feels like when we asked them, like, they asked the press conference, like, hey, why didn't you do this or this? They're like, we're not really sure. We just didn't think it was going to work. Well, nothing you were doing was working, so why didn't you try something different? No end arounds, like, no nothing. You don't try to get creative. And when you do get creative, it's running your 41-year-old franchise quarterback for 8 yards, because that makes sense. That's what we want to do in the rainy MetLife turf, is run Aaron Rodgers. Genius. I know
it was a great move. It was a great move. He got a first down. He got a first
Which is better
down.
than Brees Hall did all game, but like still,
Facts.
like let's be a little more cognizant of what's going on here. It's like they don't know the depth chart. They don't understand what's going on. It feels like they live in their own world where they're watching a different game than the rest of the fans, and I don't get it. And I just want it to make sense. I can lose a game and make it make sense. But Cortland Sutton, their only receiver, being wide open in the back of the end zone, and I gotta have it stopped for the defense, and he catches that ball. Where's anyone? Because why is there one receiver that you know open? You need that,
I think
and
Sherwood
they give it
didn't
up.
drop. I think that's what it was. I think looking at it, I think it was Sherwood not dropping deep enough.
Wide receiver on their whole
I know,
goddamn team,
I'm just saying who I think was wrong.
Why is Sauce not on him? Someone help me! Help
Mike,
me!
I love you. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Oh, Mike, bringing that fire. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I was cursing at the top of my lungs when I saw Sutton open. Like, I don't understand. Why not have, like, Sauce travel? Like, if I'm looking at Denver's offense, I'm saying Sutton's the guy as the wide receiver you got to stop. Anyone else, we'll figure it out. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I'm just saying on the play and the coverage and everything, I believe it was Sherwood that did not drop deep enough. I think that is what he would have been tasked with. Dante saying Daboll was a quarterback coach in 2007, 2008. Bring him home. So I would have loved to have stolen him away from the Bills. I don't think there's any way he winds up with the Jets anymore unless like the Giants decide to clean house, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Daboll is going to stay there. His pedigree was great. I mean, obviously Super Bowls with the Patriots. He won a national championship with Alabama. Like, he's had success everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes. I'm a big Daboll fan. All right, let's go over to Mike. Barber, Mike, Jet. How you doing, dude?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm sorry.
Oh,
you
we're
can't
hanging
see.
in there. That's okay. Talk to me. How you feeling after yesterday's game?
I'm happy. I just feel like everybody's got to relax. I mean, listen, it's only week 4. We didn't take the game serious, and we almost won.
Yeah, but we didn't win. We still lost. I get you. You're trying to talk some sense into people, and I don't like it.
I mean, listen, it's hard to take 17 games serious.
Like, especially 17 games with this fucking team. That's what it feels like. Like, it just can't be super serious.
Listen, there's nobody that knows Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers knows the Vikings better than anybody. We know Sam. Well, Jefferson will be sauced. We could take this. We could win with Buffalo, and we could be in a different spot. Let's just hold on here.
I want to sound all the bells and whistles, all the alarms, and all the panic buttons, because maybe that means the Jets are going to be underdogs. They're going to finally take care of business. Finally, because I feel like every time we give them like a little props or a little benefit of the doubt, something always goes wrong and it goes sideways. And it's super annoying, and I don't understand it.
I mean, this is football, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. But like, just I want to see some consistency. And this team has been ever so inconsistent all the time. We're consistently inconsistent.
It's week 4. Let's check me out at like week 6, week 7.
So let me ask you this. Let's say the Jets lose to Minnesota. Are you firing Salah?
No. Listen,
Let's say we lose to Minnesota and we lose to the Bills. Then do you fire Salah?
No.
After the Steelers, you said?
No. Yeah.
Oh,
you have to
man,
vote
if we were
with the
2-5. Do you think we have to win 2 of the next 3? Or if we lose, let's say we go 1-2 over the next 3 games, do you fire Salah?
I mean, do you think another guy is just going to be randomly so much better? I mean, the offense needs to get it right. I mean, we gave up only 10 points and fucking lost. Excuse my language.
Yeah, look, I get it. You and your composure, Mike.
Won.
You and your damn composure. You're out of here. Thank you for the call, Mike. Always appreciate it. All right, let's go back to Steven. See what Steven has to say. Steven, what are you doing?
All right, I'm going to give you some encouragement right now.
All right.
So, my team last year, we started off the season 2-5.
Yes.
I didn't think we were going to go anywhere. And we ended up kicking at Dallas' ass in the first round of the playoffs. So, I say that to say, even if you lose next week, even if you lose the week after, don't lose hope, because if anybody can turn the team around, 12 can. He literally did it with us back in 2016 when that team was literally all him. horrible defense, and hell, we ended up, kicking the Cowboys' ass again. Probably the best playoff game I've ever watched, other than the Super Bowl. And so don't lose hope in Aaron Rodgers.
All right. You know what? You guys and your optimism and you're not being angry is making me feel better. I'm not going to lie. Look, I deserve 24 hours of panic and hair pulling out and crying and bitching and moaning, because that's what it feels like we're about to have. And that's what I am doing. I want to see some wins. That's all I want. I want Saleh to be the coach. I want Saleh to win a Super Bowl here. I want us to extend him. And I want everything to be hunky-dory. That's what I want to happen. I don't want to get a new head coach. But man, they got turned around. Because this team has not looked good for more than just the Bronco game. Like, outside of the Patriot game, I don't think we look good in like any other game. You could call it maybe a drive during the Titans game. We got lucky we played Will Levis. Honestly. If there's any other quarterback, we'd probably lose that game. I don't know. All right, boys and girls. I'm doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go watch the rest of these games. Hang out. Maybe have a gummy. Relax. Drop the blood pressure a little bit. But I appreciate you people in chat. Good, fine friends hanging in there. Appreciate you hanging out with us. With me. Talking some football. This is fun. I'll be back tomorrow. 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock with the Talking Jets panel. I think we're doing 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I talked to Matt and Bean. We talked about maybe doing an hour. But it should be 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock tomorrow. I don't know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As again, this stream, not that way. This way. Powered by BetUS. Get 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 when you use code YouTube150. I'll see you guys next week.